Hey there, if you're ready to take your mobile notary and loan signing business to the next level, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sign and Thrive podcast with Bill Soroka, that's me, and friends. Let's go and get it.
Go and get it. Go and get it. You won't go and get it while the night is young.
Hello and welcome to the Sign and Thrive podcast. I'm here with our very special guest today, Samantha Smith, whom I met in the notary business many years ago now, and is now the founder of Georgia Notary Network and so much more. Now a book author. And Samantha, I got to tell you, I've been looking forward to this conversation because I find your story so inspirational, but also as an example of someone who sees opportunity and opportunity in their business, opportunity to help others. And that's why I love the way that you described yourself when we were preparing for this podcast. You call yourself a listener, a learner, and a servant, which ties in. So welcome, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you. Good morning. And thank you for having me, most of all.
Totally my pleasure. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about this, the story of you, the journey into our notary world. And I would imagine this is going to get a lot bigger than how to sign, date, and stamp a piece of paper.
Look, I agree. And just to be here has surpassed anything that I would have ever considered coming into the industry. So I'm super grateful, super excited, and most of all, anxious about what the future holds.
Tell me more about that.
Well, if you had told me when I graduated from college, with all my sights set on being this Olivia Pope at the time, before she was ever even Olivia Pope, I wanted to be a PR person for local celebrity and talent and all of that. And that was before PR got to where it really is now. But something happened during high school where I said, you know what? I think I want to go in the direction of like journalism. I want to write the stories. I had a chance to watch, just to date myself a little bit. I was in the 11th grade when all the O.J. Simpson trial and all that went on. And I remember sitting in class and I saw how the news was spinning the story one way, spinning it another way. And so I said, okay, good. I'm going to be, a journalist. I'm going to do all this. And then I graduated and ended up teaching. I was in a high school. I was teaching high school career development. I mean, the story I tell people is I didn't even like kids, but here I am teaching high school. So fast forward, if you had told me that, first of all, becoming a teacher, and then next that I would be so fired up about the notary industry, I just would have just fell out of my seat in the sense that this is something I have been so passionate about over the last few years and excited about, and again, anxious about where this is going. I think to go even a little deeper. So this is 2022. It was just 2015. I was unemployed. I had 3 children. I had a home that I was, in all honesty, losing. And it was just an entirely different situation in life than what I am living now. And so when things started to change for me, it started with changing my mindset as far as opportunities and possibilities. And that's when my best friend said, hey, I really think you should look into this notary stuff. She's in Alabama. And I said, yeah, whatever, I'll try. And so I became commissioned in 2014, and I just dipped my toe in the water. And it didn't catch at that moment. So I let that commission expire. I didn't do anything with it. And so fast forward 2016, 17, I became a college administrator because of my background in education. And I don't want to give too much away because I'll be having this conversation with the NNA in June. But let's just say that I needed an additional opportunity. I needed to make some moves because I did not want to seem as though I didn't have any control over my finances, my time, my opportunities. And I got back into the notary industry, and it's been full speed ahead ever since.
Mm. Right, and we're going to definitely dive into that a little bit more too. But I wonder, you've mentioned the word anxious twice already. So tell me more about what you're anxious about.
Well, coming into it, it was, you're being a notary. What do notaries do? It was that. It wasn't you're going to be a doctor, you're going to study medicine, you're going to study law. It was, what is this notary thing? And, there were a lot of questions, a lot of doubts. So obviously it made me nervous, and especially transitioning or including the notary business with my current educational background, it just didn't make sense to most people. But for me, it's always been about the service aspect of it. In addition to, I'm the one that likes to take the trail, was the path less trodden. I like to go and do things that other people aren't doing or consider mainstream. And so the anxiousness came from, okay, now I'm a little older. Can I really do this at this juncture in my life? And it has proven hand over fist to be the perfect fit. So during those times of unemployment, it was tough. It was beyond tough. Unemployment, low wages, even as a woman who had degrees or whatever, it was really, really tough. But the only thing I knew how to do was serve. Service was my love language, so to speak. People would ask all the time, why are you out here doing this work for free when you have children to take care of? Why are you out here volunteering over here when you're losing your home? And I just had a firm belief, and I believe the guidance from God, the guidance through prayer, that as long as I took care of other people, He was going to take care of my family. And so that had always been my focus for serving others in the capacity that, I felt would benefit them. So the notary industry was no different, especially once I became, a part of the Sign and Thrive community. And that's actually what drew me. It was the business, but it was the service. And I had not connected with anybody in the notary industry that was talking about the service. So when I went into families' homes and they were talking about what hard times they were having, or they were joyous because they just came out of some hard times and now they're buying their first home or whatever, it was being connected to that piece, dealing with the service that was so important. But again, a new industry, I was very anxious, and I just wanted to make sure that my focus stayed in the lane of serving others.
Well, that's beautiful. And I love that that mentality or that belief system drew you into Sign and Thrive. I think that's one of the things I admire about you most. It's really clear that you're here to serve. And what you just said, when you're losing your home and you're still volunteering, when you're offering services for free, when you're clearly got your own challenges and struggles on the other side of that, that's like living into who you want to become in this world. And how has it helped serve you in your current success in what you're doing? Has it panned out for you? Did that belief you had in 2014 and all that work that you did, how's it translate now? We're 7 years later.
It translates now because, one, it's always a reminder that we never know where we're going to be. And so I don't take that lightly. It translates now because it's who I'm coming in contact with. And so it reminds me how to treat people. Nobody wants to be mishandled just because they're going through a situation or a season in life. So I'm very cautious about how I handle people and deal with people and speak to people. And most importantly, it helps me in business because I look for the opportunity to serve first. I look for a way to, as I've heard so many times through the community, how can I add value in this situation first? And that's always through serving. It's always through helping someone meet a need, or most importantly, helping them find that thing on the inside of them that will allow them to move on and move up in what they're trying to do. So services has always been the foundation for me. It's what I've exhibited to my children, my family. We're servants first, and everything else is secondary. And I believe everything we're drawn to, and things and opportunities are attracted to us because of that service.
Yeah, that's been an experience of mine too. I think when you approach life from that way, it's counterintuitive, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes we're so driven by a result, and I'm just going to say money because that's the result that most people think of, right? They've got bills to pay, they've got to make some money, so they think about the dollar first and service later. When you flip that, because that makes logical sense, right? Like, I got to make some money, I'm going to do what I got to do to make that money. Mm-hmm. But when you approach it from the service component, I have found that everything aligns, it falls right into place. Do you have that experience too? Because you're in a tough state for this business. You're in Georgia. They're pretty strict for the loan signing side of things. They've got just a different way of doing things in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
All different counties you got to work with. But have you found with this servant attitude and this a priority of service that things do fall right into place? The money comes, the satisfaction, the joy in this business comes.
Most definitely. I think in the realm of service, as far as this business is concerned, it still goes back and starts with you. How are you showing up to these opportunities of service? How are you showing up as the businessman or the businesswoman or owner? How are you representing yourself? So it was really important to me once I got in and really kind of caught hold to what it was, that the details were important. So just because I'm showing up as a servant doesn't mean that I should not be the consummate professional. Just because I'm showing up as a servant doesn't mean that I don't answer the phone a certain way, or that I don't have a certain email signature or a certain email address. I mean, those little things make such a huge difference. And I have people tell me all the time, well, the way you do business, well, I take that as a compliment, because I'm not just a notary. I'm a business owner as well as a notary. And so just because it's service doesn't mean that there isn't a level of excellence that still should be tied to it. You don't want anybody, coming into your life, into your home, dressed a certain way, handling your documents a certain way, even communicating with you a certain way. You don't want that experience. So my goal is to always make sure that as a businesswoman, that I'm coming and I'm showing up a certain way in this role as the notary. Even with Georgia struggles, when I come in contact with attorneys, I always present myself a certain way, making it known that I'm available to them, to support them. Even in my wording and my verbiage, I tell notaries in Georgia, while you may not be able to be a loan signing agent per se, market yourself as a support to the real estate process, as a support to, whatever processes are in place, because those things, again, the little things, people notice those things. And that is what's been, I think, the catalyst for me to be fairly successful in what I'm doing.
I love your attitude here, because I think a lot of notaries in that situation, they get frustrated, or they equate, if they're getting a smaller fee for a service, they equate that with flip-flops and not dressing up professionally, right? But when you rise up and you step into this, and I love the words you chose earlier, the way you show up to this makes all the difference. And when you are the professional, when you show up to an appointment 100% present, like you know what you're doing, and you guide them through, you're this beacon of light through the process, it really does make a difference. Have you found, I'm curious about your relationships that form at the table. Because you never know who you're sitting across the table from. What happens in your life when you show up this way?
So I've come in contact with a lot of moms, parents, and I can see in their face some of their struggles depending on what I'm notarizing. And so I never ask their business, but I've always been the type of person, my grandmother used to say this about me, that, she'll listen. And, that's a whole nother story dealing with my business name, but I will listen. And so they end up telling me bits and pieces of their story, and you can see the frustration on them. And so that's when I get to not only serve as a notary, but I get to serve as a support. So if it's here in my community and I know about resources and things, I share those things. Once we finish the actual business of what I'm there to notarize, I may get on the phone and say, hey, I'm sitting with someone. Can I give them your number? They're looking for this resource or that resource. So it turns into an opportunity like that, which for me turns into a referral or a positive review, because someone will then call and say, well, she told me that you did this for her. Can you do this for me? So, it's not only just the business relationships, but it's just community in general, just wanting to support people and to see people win and to see people progress.
This sounds like the perfect cycle, because this work is not always easy. Mm-hmm. I think the public, especially, or even new notaries, think that you just come in and you stamp a piece of paper and you're done. There's lots of layers to it. Do you find that approach to your business, where you're going a layer or two or six deeper into this, you're getting connected on a more authentic and vulnerable position? They get vulnerable with you, which I love that, because a lot of people just want to be heard. So you're opening those doors for them. Mm-hmm. You find that cultivates joy in your business and your life?
It's definitely where I thought, I know what my initial why was for the business, but this has just turned into another opening and opportunity for me to serve people. And especially in a way where they know their information is protected. They know that they can confide in me. I turn into a confidant, a mentor in some sense, which I'm not a fan of that word necessarily tied to me, but it happens and I understand it and I'm okay with it. Going through the layers and helping people again, I believe that's why my story stays so fresh on my mind. I don't live in the past, but I also don't leave certain things in the past. So I know what it feels like to go apply for government assistance. I was there. I know what it feels like to get turned down for job opportunity after job opportunity after job opportunity. I was there. And I know what it's like to have to accept a job, because it's like, you know what? These lights are going to get cut off. And I need to make sure my girls can eat. And I need to make sure whatever. And so their layers are my layers, which is why I take what I do so seriously and get a little borderline offended when it's just, oh, you're just a notary, or you can't be doing. No, I'm doing far more than what you think. But it's not something that I necessarily when people call wanting to know about the notary and they get frustrated with me because I won't tell them the $1 million thing that's going to make them go out and be a 7-figure notary, and I'm talking about this stuff, it's hard for me to connect with new notaries sometimes, because they don't understand that all of this comes with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's so important. So that leads me to my next question. There's I think you and I think a lot alike on this level, and some people think it's maybe too woo-woo, right? Or it's too mm-hmm. heart-driven. Mm-hmm. And people just want the facts, and they want to know how they're going to make that money.
Yes.
But when you lead with the heart, I think the money obviously follows. It's just hard for some people who maybe haven't been introduced to that way of living yet. But how does it actually translate, though? Like, do you find that going the extra mile, going deeper, being authentic, creating community within your community, being that person, have you seen on the practical level the full circle where it does turn into more business and more revenue for you?
I think so. I literally was just speaking with a client yesterday that I was with, and we were joking. I said, well, you have me on retainer. and we were just joking about it because she uses me often. And she just had this very matter of fact look. And she was like, not only am I referring you, but I'm trying to figure out how to bring you on board for other opportunities and projects. And so that's an honor to be able to serve someone and to have it come back full circle in that way. And it's exciting. Again, a little anxious because it's making me stretch a little bit, and it's making me, learn some new things, which I love. But it's like I never imagined some of the things that I'm getting ready to do or even have done because of the notary industry.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? Like it's. I was in the same boat, right? I never became a notary to get to where to have a podcast about being a notary. Like, never saw this coming when I first started in there. But it's a vehicle to make some pretty amazing things happen. Whether it's writing a book, having a YouTube channel, mentoring others, or in that other capacity of being in service to others. It's pretty beautiful. But I want to go a little more into the woo-woo question, because back to what we were talking about with the going deeper. How do you protect your own energy when you're diving deep into somebody's story at the table? And we meet people on their best days and their worst days, but what happens when you meet them on their worst day and they're telling you their story? Do you have a system for protecting your own space?
Ooh, well,
if you're a Notary Public looking for advanced graduate level coaches, courses, and technology to help you grow a business that will last in any economy, then the Notary Business Builder Mastermind Program is for you. We've harnessed the power of 8 high-performance teachers that grant access to their courses, as well as offer over 20 live teaching calls every single month to help you get more customers, either online or through strategic relationships. And with the use of the authentic sharing technology we provide, we build done-for-you content that will keep you top of mind with your customers all year round. So when they need a notary, they call you. Check it out. Learn more at notarycoach.com and look for the Notary Business Builder info.
I do have a process for kind of like disengaging. I understand that service can become heavy because when I first started teaching, I would bring those babies home with me physically and emotionally. And, it can be a lot. Even now with the students that I come in contact with, it can be hard to separate the two. And so something that a former, I would say former, he's still a presence in my life, but he said, always know that when you're on, but when you're off, you're off. And so there are times where I will come in and I will literally turn off the phone. I will not engage in social media. I will take a complete break just for my own sanity and peace, and to be able to recharge and things like that. And it's important. I feel like too many new notaries come in and they immediately jump on the hamster wheel. What social media platform? How do I do Google My Business? How do I build my website? How do I get in front of direct clients? Or how do I go to title companies? And they just get on it, and they never build time in to disengage from all of this. Whether it's something they do for a few hours a day, whether it's something they do weekly or monthly or whatever, and they experience burnout really quickly. And before you know it, they're done with the industry. So I've just learned throughout my career, my life, and parenting, the importance of setting that time and that boundary and not asking for it, but literally taking it, because it turns out to be a benefit to you and your business and the individuals that you serve.
That is a really beautiful point, and so true. You've got to unplug to recharge. It's interesting. I want to go a little deeper with it, though, if you don't mind, Samantha.
Oh, most definitely. Go ahead.
So let's just, for an example, you're at an appointment, deathbed appointment. The mood is dark. It's a sad moment. you're listening to the story, you leave the appointment. How do you let go of that energy?
Gotcha. I actually had an appointment like that most recently. It was an elderly mother, grandmother, and they were signing over they were doing the power of attorney. And so we walked into the nursing home. Now she was coherent, everything, was fine. She knew where she was at, what she was doing, but she just began to wail because she thought she was going home. And the family was not there to take her home. They were only there to get her to sign the papers. And, I'm not there to judge. I don't know how the family handles her on a regular basis. I don't know. But it literally almost brought me to tears because it made me think of my own grandmother who, before her passing, she wanted to come home, and the family brought her home so that she could ride around the neighborhood and see her house and all that kind of stuff before she passed. And so when I left that appointment, I remember getting in my car and I was doing a couple of breathing exercises. But then I also, for me, and this might not be fully disengaging, but I reached back out to the family later just to say, how's grandma doing? I wanted an update to kind of see how she was feeling, if there was anything else I could do to assist them or any resources or services I could direct them to for her. So for me, sometimes the disengagement is just check in because there's some situations that you just don't walk away from. Mm-hmm. And not that I could go in and do anything physically, like I couldn't take the grandmother home, but just that call and that check in, and the family was really appreciative that I reached back out, and they said they were doing all they could to bring her home. But at that time, the legal part needed to be taken care of with the notarizing of the power of attorney. So yeah, it's tough to totally disconnect sometimes. But again, for me, just the check in, it gives me peace that, all is well. Even if it turns out that a family member passed away, I always, I try to provide the comfort in the fact that, that person is no longer suffering or having any health issues. And, they've been released now from, any pain.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you're, you can't have it both ways, right? You can't act like you care at the closing table or the signing table, mm-hmm. and then walk away and then never think about it again, right? That's not, I don't think that's the genuine, authentic care. So I totally agree with you. Following up, I follow up anyway. I follow up when I love it. I follow up when it's tough. I know it's going to be a hard conversation. I know they're close to passing or whatever it might be, but I think that's a great, skill set that will serve you well in your life too. But you mentioned that you practice some breathing exercises. And I love that because I do the same thing too. And I have to do, it's almost a blessing ritual when I leave an appointment like that. And I still do it when I'm in a situation where maybe there's too many people, maybe there's something negative happening. It's, or just a tough emotional story. I have to release that. Mm-hmm. And I have to bless it and let it go. And I go through this in my mind. I'm like, bless them, let them find the strength and the power to get through this.
Yes.
So I don't carry it with me because it would be really hard to carry all my own stuff and somebody else's experience too.
I agree. It's like a cleansing. I've heard it even referred to as a cleansing breaths when you come out of a situation, just kind of flushing your spirit, your mind, your body of what you may have taken in while you were connected with certain people or situations or whatever. And then just a way to center yourself and to calm down because, while we may be calm and, explaining documents and all of that, on the inside, we could just be, just running around frantically because of what we're, encountering. And so, for me, the breath work is really important before going in and when I'm coming out of certain appointments.
Yeah, I in the same exact way, going in especially, it can be really nerve wracking. Mm-hmm. Stepping into a stranger's home. You don't know what you're stepping into sometimes, or even a nursing facility or a hospital. Who knows what you're stepping into? Mm-hmm. I take 10 deep breaths as I'm walking up. Sometimes I'm sitting in the car, but it's usually as I'm walking up. I'm like, whew. So you mentor, I know you don't like that word, But you do, right? What do you call it? Coaching, mentorship,
I don't
having a
know.
conversation.
I have a whole lot of conversation. I guess I don't see myself as a mentor, and I've intentionally tried to distance myself from that word only because the expectations of a mentor, most people's expectations are sometimes unreasonable and something that I know that I can't fulfill in this season of my life. The same way that I detach from, or I attempt to detach from certain signing appointments to make sure that I'm clear. You have to detach in the same way when people expect you to grow their business. They expect you to make their business successful. And I always, put it back on them. What are you going to do? So I don't see myself as a mentor. I'm a cheerleader. If this is what you want to do, I will cheer you on. I will, show you some of the things I've done and share resources and information. But I've never really seen myself as a mentor.
It sounds, when I hear you say this, you've used the word detachment a couple of times, and I see where you're going with it. And to me, when I hear you say it, it sounds like you're really good at just setting really healthy boundaries for yourself and others. But that's a skill in itself. Where'd you learn to do that?
Oh, goodness. Life. Just life in general. But, also too, not just setting boundaries, but being respectful of others' boundaries. As a mother, I have 3 daughters, and my 2 older daughters are 21 and 20. And so, they're just like me. So they're very strong-willed and all that. And so I had to start being respectful of their boundaries. But then it was like, hey, you can set some boundaries on your own too, lady. So I just really started being intentional about that in every aspect of my life, and especially in business, because as I'm moving to grow things and to create things, I can't create if I'm always helping. And so that's the boundary, is that I need that space for creativity and for thought and for, again, the re-energizing piece.
That is such an advanced way of thinking. And I think that's one of the traps that a lot of us fall into, because we're sitting here talking about being of service, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also that boundary or that line. You have to put your oxygen mask on first, right? And if you've got your own vision, your own goals,
mm-hmm.
your own legacy that you're looking to leave in this world, and if you don't claim your time to make those things happen, nobody comes in and says, whoa, world, slow down. Samantha Smith has got a plan. She needs her space. Let's give her an hour in the morning. It doesn't happen that way. You have to take it. And you said that earlier. Mm-hmm. I'm really curious. What's next? What are you creating?
So, I recently participated in a business course or business talk. And the thing that caught my attention was, in business, you've got to think 5 years ahead. And so, as we're doing our service as notaries, no matter what state we're in, what's the 5-year ahead plan as far as how your business is going to maneuver 5 years from now? So I'm looking at 2 things. Obviously, Ron for Georgia. We don't know yet if it's going to be a thing or if it's going to be a partial thing. We don't know yet. We're still watching. So definitely the incorporation of more technology into what I do, the learning of it, the making it fit into what I have going on. I mean, will the technology be what allows me to walk away and be a full-time entrepreneur? Who knows? So that's one of the things. And then in an effort to keep it light and to have some novelty to it, I am right now pursuing a merchandise line. I'm right now working on the trademark for it. I hope that it will be coming back soon, and then I'll be able to start with that. And then finally, my ultimate goal has always been to be the creator, the founder of the Georgia Notary educational piece. I want to do Georgia Notary, a resource library spanning from getting started, effectively doing your notarial acts, but also transitioning into the business part of it, even into how to resources on collaborations and what that looks like and how you should enter into collaborations when it comes to your business and your brand and what those outcomes, what you're looking for those outcomes to be. So those three things right now are top on the list that I'm researching and staying connected with the right people and organizations. Again, I haven't really gotten into the whole like creating courses and all. I haven't gotten into that. I am a collaborator, and so however I can help add value to what someone maybe already has going on, that's definitely on in the future for me.
Yeah. Well, it seems like every time I talk to you, you've got a very clear idea of where you're going, and you're also adaptive. So even if you get new information or find a new passion or a new direction that you want to go, it sounds like you're able to forgive and let go of whatever that might be and tap into whatever's coming next. I think that's
and people don't even know that she listens. My business, she listens. I started because I was so gung ho on being this real estate agent. I think I remember sharing a story with you. And so my thought process was, well, let me get inside of homes in order to get closer to my dreams. So I was out here providing home cleaning services. I've been doing it since I can remember. My grandmother used to do it. And so the saying was, people will pay you to cook, clean, and watch their kids. And that's very true. And so I've always known how to go in, and if I needed to generate income, I could clean houses. I was doing it here in my area for a long time. And so She Listens started as that. I was doing notary and I was doing house cleaning. Well, time brings about a change. And it was a whole lot to clean 3 and 4 houses a day and then still go and do notary work. I was doing house cleanings for flips, emptying out houses. I had a team. We were working together, cleaning out properties and residences. But when I tell you, it is physically demanding. Like, there's nothing lightweight about this work. And so I had to pivot and say, you know what, I can't do that part of the business because it's taking too much out of me physically. Not that I couldn't do it. It's just that I wanted to really incorporate the working smarter and not harder piece of it. And so it started there. And then when I realized that, maybe real estate wasn't going to be my thing, and I poured everything into the notary industry, that's when the creativity really sprang up. And I was able to use my what's in my toolkit as far as education and teaching and training and the research to have these other ideas. And so I try to encourage notaries, what do you do now that's amazing? Bring that into the notary business so that so that it's not so difficult. Not that it won't be a challenge, but it won't be as difficult because you already got those things inside of you. So, my business has evolved, and I'm pretty sure it will continue to evolve as I kind of dabble in some other stuff. But things happen. It doesn't work out. But I tried.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, it sounds like you don't shame yourself into oblivion, right? You just pivot and make something else happen. I love that you brought up bringing those amazing skill sets or all your amazingness into this business. You have lots of conversation with notaries. I obviously have lots of conversations with notaries too. And it seems like in this industry, for whatever reason, when people step into being a notary, they just slam the door behind them. And it's like they're emerging into this world as a new, fresh human being who's never done it. They leave everything behind. I'm like, you were like the chief accountant for a Fortune 500 company. You've got this, you can do this. Or police officers. I've noticed that along the way. Is that what you're speaking to? Have you noticed that too?
Oh, yes. Those that do taxes, those that even if you still want to, if you want to clean homes, that's totally fine. I think people think of notary and they abandon creativity. They abandon, opportunity. And it's really, this industry has allowed me to find new things and new ways to be able to serve people. I mean, at first I was just serving my notary clients, and now my goal is now in this, my target is now in the shape of Georgia, because I want to serve Georgia notaries. And so it will continue to evolve. And, any person can do it regardless, of their background. It's really about digging inside yourself and finding that thing and saying, I'm going to apply this to this business. And if it doesn't work, that's okay too. You'll find something else.
I've had some terrible ideas in this business. That's one of the perks of being an entrepreneur, especially in a service-based business like this. Like, I could wake up at 3:00 in the morning with this amazing idea. I remember waking up and I have giant sticky notes on my wall in my bedroom because I get these ideas. And I'm like, I got to write that down. Like buying Starbucks for every single signer, like taking Starbucks orders at every appointment. Yeah, that lasted one day, maybe a week. That was a nightmare. Then I'm just food delivery, basically. But that sounded really good at 3:00 in the morning. But you can implement as you go and try new things, drop the ones that don't work, blend in the ones that do work. And everything, no matter what career people are in, there's some level of customer service.
Yes.
There's some level of attention to detail. There's some level of organization, whatever it might be. All of those skill sets serve in this industry.
Yes.
So, Samantha, as I expected, this 20-minute conversation is now a 40-minute conversation, which I just love. But let's bring it home here. If there was a last message that you'd like to leave with for our audience, what would it be?
So I guess it'll be a little kind of a two-parter. I wholeheartedly believe that you can serve your way to success. And that is going to always start with you. There is nothing outside of you that's going to make you more successful than what's already in you. And it just depends on how you package it, how you promote it, how you shape it, how you cultivate it. I mean, I just think about some of the inventions and things that we use every day that it was in them. And so you've really got to cultivate what's in you to be successful and define what that level of success is for you, no matter what stage you're in, no matter what your current situation is. Sometimes those situations are the catalyst to help you be that success. You got to mind your own caves as far as, the treasures that are in there, and everybody can do it. Again, if you had told me that I was going to be a notary and I was going to be going hard for the Georgia notaries, I would have just, laughed you under the table. But it all went back to service and serving others and helping provide education and all of that. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, I literally just wrote in my journal last night, the word evolve and evolution have been really big for me over the last 6 or 7 months. Every time I see it, I'll take a picture of the word when it pops up. And in a project that I'm doing now, dealing with evolve. And I would just encourage people to embrace evolution. And I'm not talking about the monkey to the man thing, but evolution of who you are. You might be, I work with individuals who are incarcerated. And so the evolution is them going from where they are to where they can be and then the evolution can all happen right there in that situation, no matter what it is. We all are going to grow. We're all going to change. But there's something I read recently that said, you either evolve or you die.
Yeah.
And so, I would just encourage everybody to really look at what evolving looks like for them and the opportunities that will come out of that evolving for them, and just get ready for a ride, because it is really, really an amazing ride.
Samantha, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, perspective, and your story along this journey. Truly appreciate it. So glad that I'm in your orbit watching this journey unfold. So thank you for being here with us on Sign and Thrive.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
For terms and conditions, as well as more information on whether the Notary eJournal is compliant in your state, visit the home of the Notary eJournal at www.juratinc.com. If you're a Notary Public, the future's here. Long have we been confined to pen and paper when it comes to our journal entries, and those days are over. The Notary eJournal by Jurat Inc. is a smartphone app that completely digitizes the journaling experience. You can quickly populate fields with an ID scan, you can make detailed notes about your appointment experience, and you can capture signatures electronically right on the screen of your phone. The Notary eJournal has also blazed a trail with the industry's first integration of a Bluetooth scanner, so the modern notary can actually capture a signer's thumbprint, making the Notary eJournal compliant in nearly every state, including California. Even if your state doesn't require a journal, it's considered a wise and best practice to do so. A journal can be a notary's BFF, as my friend Laura Buer says, and you might as well be on the cutting edge of technology while you're using it. The Notary eJournal, it's simple, secure, and pretty damn cool to use. Your customers will love it, and you'll love the time you save at every single appointment. And time is money. Check out the demo and the incredible special offer just for supporters of the Side Hustle Lounge and Notary Coach at www.sidehustlelounge.com.
Go and get it.